Episode 79. From Conservatoire and Beyond. Introducing Charlotte Wright on the BTS Creative Academy Podcast, Uncut. With me, your host, Martin Colton.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wear them. I'm finding more and more people feel more at ease if we don't.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah.
Let's pop them down.
Okay.
Pop them wherever. I'll pop them on there actually.
Cool. So just remind me of the structure
So
that I know.
yeah. So it's just a conversation.
Okay.
Today, like I say, we'll just
Sounded like one.
Yeah. We'll just see where this goes. Like I say, I've got some questions for you.
Cool.
And we'll see what happens.
Okay.
There's a little tradition with this for starting this, where we do a little clap at the beginning. All started because I haven't got a clapper.
We did that. Yeah.
And then I'm thinking to myself, did I actually press the record on the camera? So I better check that.
Or maybe.
Yes, I did.
Perfect.
All good. So you ready?
Yeah.
Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3, 2, 1, clap.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Nice. And we're in.
Okay.
And this is it. We're here. We're started.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining me, Charlotte.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is very nice to see you again after we spent a bit of time at Christmas together, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yes.
Yeah.
You were the big man.
Yeah, I was the big man.
Yeah.
Working for you at Willows Farm in St Albans, where you're the entertainment.
I'm the entertainment manager there.
Yeah.
So I'm in charge of creating the shows for events, and so I write the shows and also perform in them as well. And also we hire external actors like myself to cover lots of different roles over Willows Activity Farm. That's the only time of year that I normally don't perform in, because we create characters for the children. Right. So to make it, we've got elves, real elves from Lapland.
Of
I
course.
cannot be a real elf from Lapland.
Yeah.
So we hire in external actors, which is really, really busy, because just before Christmas there is Halloween half term, which is very busy, and then just before that we've got September.
So with every season you have to create a new form of engagement and entertainment with the kids, is that right?
We've got lots of different events throughout the year, but the last quarter is in particular very, very busy.
Right.
So we have to create different shows, different events. There's discos that we put on as well.
Discos?
That we sometimes hire externally.
Okay.
Or we run them ourselves, depending on what staffing is going to be like, and also how many tickets are sold as well. So if there's lots of tickets sold for a specific event, like firework night, then we'll hire in Youth Create we've worked with, so they've come in
and they're coming on the podcast next week. Youth Create.
Wow. They've worked with us.
There's so many connections with these kind of like local businesses, isn't there? That they were all interlinked in some way.
Yes.
Whether it's via the entertainers, the actors, or bringing in. I know Willows recently brought in Jared's lighting company, didn't they, to do some technical stuff?
Do you know, it all started, a little web started with Molly. So
right, okay.
She's the events coordinator at Willows Activity Farm. So she works in the entertainment department with me.
Nice.
And we create things all together. So for Christmas, she wrote a whole panto for Christmas, and
wonderful.
It was great. And she knew all these amazing actors. So we got them involved, and she knows you and a couple of other people as well, and then she knew Jared, and as soon as she came into the picture, it was just this whole web of creative people that were with her as well. It's amazing.
It's so important, isn't it, to have like a network of people, isn't it, to make something come together for a business.
Yes, definitely. It is definitely an army that brings it together.
Yeah, it is, and you're charging that, are you? You're taking the lead on everything that happens, because you're quite new there, aren't you?
Yeah. So I've been there for a year, and I'm still getting used to being in charge of things like that and making the decisions and bringing forward new ideas and everything. So that's quite new to me, to have that sort of control in that sort of job. But I do really enjoy it, because I've seen, from experience throughout years of being involved in like productions and being involved with entertainment, I've seen lots of great ideas, and I've seen ideas that can slip and what can make it better. So it's really cool to just be like, oh, I know this will work.
Yes.
So and then being able to actually put it forward and things happen. And then, you know, ideas get brought in from other really creative people and that you wouldn't have thought of before.
So am I understanding that you're getting this from your performance background?
Yeah.
So because you're not just a normal manager, are you? You're not You're not just managing these events and making sure they happen.
Yeah.
You're taking it from a performer's perspective.
Yeah. So I got this job based on the fact that I've done management stuff in different roles. So not hospitality, which has no link to my job, but I've had manager roles in different departments, and also from performance background, the degrees I've got in performing arts, and also direct experience in entertainment roles at holiday parks, which is very similar vibe,
isn't it?
Yeah, when you work with children.
I've never really considered that, actually. It's almost like a red coat vibe you've got going on at Willows Activity Farm,
that's exactly it. That's where it kind of directs from. And I've done it wasn't here in England, but I did entertainment roles in France. So that was a whole other ball game because it's not in English. It was all in French. But we still did children's shows then. The structure of the children's shows were quite different, but still had the sort of big characters that you would have with like Peter Rabbit examples, but they'd have their own characters that they'd use. So we'd have to create shows for children in the evenings, run kids clubs. So all of the activities that they do in kids club we don't normally do with the children at Willows, but that sort of creativeness of thinking of different games and ideas and parties and events, that came a lot from working directly in entertainment. So when I had my interview with Willows, it was over an hour. I think we were talking about it because the role is just so divided in all these different things and all the different things I'll have to create in the job.
Did you feel like it was a natural thing for you to be doing?
Yeah,
it sounds
really
like
did.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I actually, when I first applied for the job, I applied for a food and beverage manager because I was like, I just moved back from France and I was working as a manager in a restaurant. I was like, this is just not me. The hours, they're so late. We're working like 15-hour days for weddings. I was like, I can't. I was like, this is not my life. I was like, so I was looking just for a nice social hour sort of job, 9 to 5, but still in management.
Yes, yeah.
And it's something that I've had a lot of experience with. Creative people tend to have worked in some form of hospitality because the hours work so well.
Yeah.
So I have experience with it, but I just was...
And the personality as well.
Comes customer facing and
facing.
Like sort of confident sort of creative people are very good at doing that.
Yeah.
And I applied for it because it was something that was going to be steady and had nice hours, one weekend day and everything. So it was just worked well. But then I went onto their page to do a bit of research and they were actually looking for an entertainment manager.
Nice.
And I had no idea because this role was open for over a month before I'd seen it. So I thought, one, it's probably taken now. And two, like, I don't know if like I haven't done an entertainment manager role before. So I don't know if they're looking for someone who's done it.
Did you feel like you were talking yourself out of it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was. And then I just bit the bullet and emailed her back and was like, actually, I've just looked on your page and I have a music CV and creative CV and show reels and performance and centre, all this stuff. I was like, I think this would be a better fit for me. And we went in for the interview. I had to write a mini children's show and perform it to two of the managers there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just me and them.
That sounds difficult.
Yeah, me, them, and my laptop.
That sounds like a ground swallow me up.
It was intense, but I wrote a mini song and
it's brave.
Yeah, I really went for it. I was like, I'm really going to go for this. And I created a storyline about Peter Rabbit because they wanted something that would fit with them. So I did loads of research in their shows and I created something that they would use. And then we just had a really long interview and all the questions I just had experience with. And I knew I didn't even need to really prepare for the interview. I did look at all of the things they're looking for, but didn't think of stories and experience I just could think of it on the spot because it was just everything fit. Yeah. And it was in the interview that I was like, I love that, everything you're saying. I was like, it's the first time I've ever been in an interview where I was like, I've got this.
Where it felt right.
I have all the answers. I have the experience. And it was just wonderful to feel that confident in an interview for the first time instead of just sort of blagging it. Like, I can totally do that. I'll figure it out later. But I can totally do that. But with this one, it was, I've done that.
Isn't that that's an amazing place to be?
It was.
But how do you get there though? Because that doesn't just happen overnight, does it? So where did performing kind of start for you? Have you always been a performer?
Yeah, so I've loved performance. It's so cliche to be like, I started at 2, but really I did. Yeah. I was at 2 and 3, I was dressing up as princesses.
But that goes to show, I think when you say that, I think that shows that it naturally is you.
Yeah.
You know, it's within you. It's in your being of who you are.
That's how it feels. I've always sort of been very dramatic and, you know, and loved dressing up, loved singing. Singing was, and it is, just my favourite thing to do. And I loved musicals. I went to my first musical. I could never, ever stop talking and never stop being dramatic and loud and all of this. And my mum took me to see my first musical, The Sound of Music, and it was the longest time I was ever quiet. I was just sat there in silence, just the whole time, like, I want to do that. It sounds amazing. And I'd always have to be really close to the stage. My mum did not figure out why, but I apparently loved to make sure I could see every single part of their costume, including their shoes. I really was like...
There was like a fascination there.
It was, like, I wanted to see how their feet moved and how all their costumes flowed, and I just loved that. And it wasn't just the singing; it was everything, the lighting, the props, seeing them on the side of the stage. Like, I just had such a fascination for it.
You could see into that world when you go. That's what I love about theatre. When you sit in a theatre and you're absorbed by that, there's a barrier, but like, you're in this audience place of sitting there, and they're up there, but you can be absorbed. You feel like you're with them, don't you?
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. I felt so involved, and I joined sort of theatre clubs and like acting, drama stuff when I was really young. And I did Fame, the musical, when I was 12 at the Bristol Hippodrome. And it was the first sort of big show, the paid show that I'd done. Right. And I was in the ensemble, but I would always throw myself forward and be like, oh, does anyone want a solo? I was like, yes. Little 12-year-old girl. And all these professionals are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I do. And it was so much fun. And it was just, I loved the dressing rooms and the excitement. And I just don't know. I can
see when you're talking about it. And you still love it now. Like, you come alive when you're talking about it.
Yeah, I really, really love it. And from then I just knew, I tried to do other things. And in sixth form, I did music for an A-level, but I also did psychology, sociology, and English lit, because I had already had in my head, I was like, music is so difficult to get into. I'm just going up a road for disaster, and I don't know if I'm going to make any money from it. Like,
where did that thought come from?
I think, well, the music teachers there, they do prepare you, which is rightly so, that they're like, it's not easy to make money from music, and you know, you it's really difficult. So if you really want to do it, make sure you really want to do it. And then I'd almost applied for psychology at uni, and I was writing my personal statement, and I had no idea what to say for psychology. I was like, I don't know. I was like, but then I was writing one for music, and it was all flowing out, like why I want to do it, what I love about it, and why I deserve to go to the conservatoires that I was applying to and auditioning for. And it was all just flowing out, and it was just, I just knew at that moment, like, whatever happens, but I have to go for it. And I auditioned for a couple of unis and conservatoires, and I chose to go to Leeds Conservatoire.
Okay. Can I ask what the difference is between the two, between a uni and a conservatoire?
So what I found when I was auditioning was, when I auditioned at a uni, it was a department of music, so the budget would be spread across all subjects, and then music would get a certain amount, which could still be like quite a lot.
Yes, yeah.
But it wasn't the sole purpose of that uni. Whereas a conservatoire, all the courses are to do with music, production, everything like that, all genres, and all of the money goes into music. And they've got the most incredible theatres and instruments, and the whole building was 5 floors, and all of them were practice rooms with Steinways, and all the production booths, there was like maybe 20 where you could go in and record, and you could book them for free and use them, find and collaborate with people that are doing production and film music, and you would record with them for their projects, and then they'd help you for yours. So it was just
the
incredible.
Perfect environment for you to thrive.
So much.
Like,
You met so many amazing people and talented people that do loads of different genres. And your course, you would have all of the same people wanting to do that genre. It wouldn't just be a class mixed with everyone. You would just have, because I did classical, so I was with all the classical singers, and it was a whole course in itself. So there was like between 20 and 30 of us across the 3 years, but it was still quite an intimate class, which was nice. And you just, I think it was, you could just feel that the conservatoire was just all for music and all for the music students. And it was really nice.
Sounds like you loved your time there.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Stayed for a master's.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I knew I wanted to build upon my education more with music, because I feel like when I was looking around at uni, I was like, how many people have music degrees? My goodness, how are we all going to get a job?
Yeah, what was it they say that come out of like uni and coming into the entertainment industry? There's 100,000 new young people coming into the entertainment industry every year.
Exactly. It's
like
intense.
It's massive. There's
it's
a massive
intense.
competition,
and I didn't feel like I was ready for that, and I felt like I needed more time learning from like professors and from singing teachers, because everyone got their own instrument teacher solo, and they're incredible. And I needed a bit more time to just sort of figure out who I was, and so I did opera for 3 years, and then I decided musical theatre, and I threw it to my singing teacher, who's an opera singer, incredible. And I was like, I just want to try something for my recital. And she was like, okay. And then I put down musical theatre's songs, and she was like, I don't know about this. And then I sang it for her, and she was like, I'm going to give it a go. You sing. And she was like, I think you've just found what you are meant to be singing. And it was just such a nice feeling. And throughout doing opera, it was something that was relatively new. I'd kind of been learning opera when I was really young, and then I went more into pop and things when I got in my teenage years, and then I went to opera because I really, really enjoyed it, and I do still. But I just found myself never being as good as everyone else, and everyone's so competitive, and everyone's aiming to get the same style as a soprano, and when you don't get that, you just feel crushed, because
what is it that was making you feel not so good as everyone else? What was
grades?
The grades.
Yeah. So I was getting 2-1s.
You were literally being judged,
being told that I wasn't as good as this person that got 85, and it's just because it's so what's the word where you can't when you're singing, it's sort of on your own judgment, because some people will think it's really good and some people won't like it. So
kind of when you're in. Do you mean kind of like if you're in like kind of a flow state? Is that where you're going to with it? Or
when people's marking something.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and like it's subjective.
Subjective. Oh, right,
yes.
okay. Sorry,
very
I see where you're going.
And it's very personal to be marked on singing.
Yes.
With any other instrument, you played the notes wrong. That wasn't. Oh, that was slightly flat. And with singing, yes, you can.
Yeah.
But the expressiveness and the tones, when they sort of write upon that, you're like, I thought I gave the best performance of my life.
Yeah.
But I was getting 2-1s, which is still really great. But then there'd be really, really talented people on the course. They were older than you as well, so they've had a couple more years. And your singing voice doesn't actually mature until you're 30. That's right. Okay. That's when you've found your voice, and that will be when you can really go for it. But until then, you've got these like 18, 19-year-olds that are being put down so quickly instead of like being pushed up. Yeah. So I worked really hard at opera, but as soon as I sang musical theatre, I was getting 90s. Like it was suddenly, even the same people that had marked me for the opera were marking this because they expected me to do classical, so they came to mark it, and then I turned up and sang Jekyll and Hyde and Wicked and Heathers and all of that, and they were like, okay. And they agreed that was my sound, and I don't regret doing opera because I wouldn't have got that sound without that. And I always, when people want to go into musical theatre singing, I've always been an advocate for starting with classical.
Really?
It is the root of all powerful singing, because I can now sing over a whole orchestra with no mic, and I'm not reliant on mics and production.
Someone that doesn't sing, that sounds like a really high. So you're going to like the really high place first, and then coming down to other levels. Is that right?
Yeah, it feels more like that because all the notes when you sing, sort of in your chest voice and mix and head voice, you can get all of those different supports from classical singing, and do it healthily. Like there's a difference between singing in your mix, which is and belting. They all kind of come from classical sort of mechanisms and techniques. Yeah. And I never regret doing that. In fact, I always advocate for, if you're doing musical theatre, make sure you also get a teacher for classical.
Right, okay.
And really go to the basics, because it is the way to build up the strength.
Yeah, someone said to me yesterday, so like when you're learning these techniques, actually it's better to shoot for the stars and you might reach the moon. Yeah. Yeah. So go for the top. Go for the hardest. Go for the hardest thing.
Even if you don't want to be an opera singer and it's not for you, learning that healthy technique, because opera singers need to have a healthy technique to be able to sing anything, because it's so high and because it's so demanding, and you have to project over an entire orchestra, sometimes a choir, into the audience, right to the back. You've got to be heard by everyone, and they're not mic'd. So to do that without screaming, you have to really be healthy with it, and that's what you get taught in classical. So it's something that I've always advised people to also have when they're singing pop and everything. Just have your classical there. So
did you have a good grounding for who you was as a singer when you left?
Yeah.
You knew who you were.
Yeah. I definitely, at the start of my masters, as soon as I sang some musical theatre, it just felt right. But then COVID hit halfway through my master's degree.
Right,
so it was devastating, because it just stopped. I had all these plans for collaborating with different people, and basically putting on for my last master's thing, which would have been a half an hour performance of different songs. I was thinking of putting on like a musical in itself with different songs, but like collaborating with other singers and musicians and a live band, and I was going to go for it. But I had to think of a different way that I can show this, just without just standing in front of a camera and singing.
Sounds crushing.
It really was. It was rubbish. It was just, at the time I was like, how can I utilize this degree now, because it's meant to be performing. I'm having my lessons on Zoom. Like, how can I get the most out of this? So then when we were all in lockdown for the first time, I was living with my best friend Em, and she's not musical at all. we met on Spare Room, and we had a spare room, and there she was, and now she's my best friend like 6 years later.
And she loves musical theatre now?
We're getting there.
Right, okay.
It depends. Yeah. Not quite like Legally Blonde vibes, but she definitely likes a bit of Hamilton. But we would just sort of, I'd have my piano with me, and I would just sing, and we'd be watching music, like something that I'd want to sing, and I'd be like, but it's annoying because it's a duet or a trio in this. And she's like, well, why can't you do both, like all of them?
Right, yeah.
And I was like, interesting, but I don't know how to do it. But that would be quite cool. Instead of just sitting in front of a camera and submitting my final thing with just me singing for half an hour, why not have editing with it and recording and all of these layers, and
you've since shared these, haven't you, on social media? I've seen them on TikTok.
So it was such a great journey. The first time I did it was 25 minutes, I think, or 20 minutes, and that was sort of my intro to it, because we were really in lockdown at that point, so I really had to figure it out by myself. So I bought a camera and I did lots of different songs. Some of them were solo and some of them were layered, and I recorded all the different parts. And I had my friend James he's a film musician, composer, so he had like all this stuff, and he was a very good producer. So I got him to sort of mastered all the vocals, and like he really did. I could not have done that. I learned as much as I could on my own, but for my entry for my masters, I collaborated for that, because I wanted them to sound really crisp, and I wanted them to be heard over the music as best as possible, because I'm still learning about sort of production on that side. That was all self-taught, so I could record, but it wouldn't be on a really nice
because as a performer, you're not really expected in the real world to do all the technical stuff. So
exactly. I've never had to do it.
No, so you're not.
Never even had to use a microphone until
It's someone else's job, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I can see why it's a job, because it's hard. It's really confusing, really difficult, and really expensive.
Yes, there is that.
So I got his help for that, and then I filmed all the parts, but I did learn how to properly use. I did it on iMovie, so I mean it's not a great software,
it's a great
but
place to start.
It was there. I started there, and I would put each layer on one, save it, and then re-upload, put another layer. Save it. Took all day to do one song, and I did. I wanted it to look really immersive, and I wanted the examiners to open it and be like, "Here we go," classic. But that sort of excited me that I could just surprise them and be like, I haven't just sat in my bedroom and sang. I have wanted to utilize all of this, and I got to write an essay about it as well with all my decisions, which was really nice, because then I could just clarify why I did what I did. And that was the first time I got a first in my singing. Yeah,
it sounded to me as well like you're not just a singer and a performer. You are a creative individual that has a vision.
Yes, the vision was really there.
You had that vision.
I couldn't get it out of my head.
World events stopped it, unfortunately. But then you adjusted the vision.
Yeah. That's exactly how it felt. I had to adjust the vision, but I ended up learning so much more than I would have.
Right.
Because I learned how to. I don't have all the proper nice software, but I learned how to record like all different layers. It got me more into harmonies, and I understood harmony a lot more, and I could record the entire cast of Hamilton.
So maybe there was actually in that moment of that you was heartbroken, I guess, when you couldn't do it, but actually there was a blessing.
Yeah, it really felt like that. It was really cool to just sort of learn something that I was so intimidated by doing, and it actually got easier and easier the more I did it. And then I just, for my last one, I wanted to go a step up. So the rules were that 6 people rule at the time. So I had to be really limited with all. I was like I have to pick the right people.
Yes. Audition, please. If you want to be in my life right now, can you sing? Can you play an instrument?
We need to collaborate. But I wanted it to be bigger and better and crazier, and really just all the songs had to be really carefully selected. I think I had 3 from Hamilton just purely because of the harmonies that Lin-Manuel Miranda put in was just so beautiful, and I couldn't not. So I did quite a lot of them with split screen, and I got in another friend who's a videographer. So you've got like a producer, videographer, and then my housemate at the time, Em, and my other best friend, Christy, also helped out. So there was a nice group of us. And we recorded it all in my flat. And we just moved out all the sofas, and there was a nice corner backdrop of a white wall. So we were like, perfect. And Brendan had all his big cameras, lighting rigs, smoke machines, props. We had different costumes. We had he edited all the videos to be like flashbacks and this and on the screen and all the writing, and it was surreal. The whole thing was just
were you paying these people to help you?
Yeah, I paid.
Yeah.
It was mate rates.
Mate rates
at the time, because we're all poor students still. But there's
something to be said about that as well, is valuing people's skills and time.
Yeah.
In order to achieve a vision, then we should be paying mates
absolutely
to help us out.
Even though he wasn't doing jobs at the time, because there were no weddings, and he was filming those and music videos and things, like he stood his time. With the producer, I was doing a lot of recording for him for his project, so it was kind of like a swap,
give and take kind of.
So I was doing a lot of singing for his film music, and then he helped me out with this, which is really kind of him to do that. And we just worked with collaboration, and it was really fun. We all just had loads of fun with it, and they all got credited in the video for my teachers.
And then you was brave and shared that with the world out on social media.
I haven't shared all of them yet. No, there was 7 pieces, I think, from there. So I was sort of releasing them slowly, and my favourite ones went out first straight away. We did the Mean Girls song, which is just me, but we had a couple people within there. That was all one take, and we also filmed how we moved we moved tables in underneath me, and
so there's a behind the scenes.
Yes,
as well.
yeah, which I want to release as well, because it's just so interesting how we decided to do that, and I submitted that as well with my essay of the backstage for that one shot scene, just to show how much went into that one song. We had to retake it maybe 7 times. One thing went wrong, that was it. And it would always be right at the end that something would go wrong. Of course. But that was really, really great fun, and I was just really happy with the outcome of that as well. And it just, when you get your mark back and it's a really good mark, I know you shouldn't, but you just feel so validated.
No, you should do. You put hard work into something. What isn't? Why should we be ashamed to take the validation, to take the well done?
Yeah, thanks.
The applause, the clap. Why not?
It's true. I think with creative people, we're always taught to be like so modest and humble. Yeah. Don't brag, because some people still might not like you. Like they might not like your voice, and they might not like your song choices. So you're always taught to just be like really humble. But when something like this happened, I was just so ecstatic.
You can have a moment, I think.
Yeah, I think so. There's a difference.
I think everyone's allowed a moment. I think is when the bragging becomes too loud, and and that you're shouting over other people, or performers get we're all seen as extroverts when maybe we're not.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that is so true, so true. But I do think there's a definite difference between confidence and cocky.
Confidence and cocky. Yeah.
And I could see that. I was just finally confident.
No, you did it. Nice. You did. It was a hard job, a hard task. You did it. You deserve a clap and a pat on the back.
Yeah, It was definitely one of those moments. It was so hard to piece all together, and there was a lot of times where my friends would look me in the eye and be like, "What are you talking about?" And I'd be like, "No," and I'd have diagrams. I'd be like, "I get it. I have a vision," and then. Because I played all 3 Heathers in a song, and I did Candy Store, and it was all different outfits, and I wanted the lights to be their colours, and the dance. He was filming me, and then I'd be like, no, I need to start again because that dance wasn't right. And he was like, but does it matter? And I was like, yes. Yes, it matters. And then he put all 3 together, and he was like, I get it. I see the vision.
That's the hardest thing when you've got a vision is getting others to see it and see the importance of the small micro things.
Yeah.
Like wearing the right coats or something, or standing in the right position, how that can mean something to the bigger picture. Not everyone can see that until it's completed. I do a lot of directing of theatre, of community theatre, and that's often the case with that, where you pull a big group of people together to play out your vision as a director. Yeah. And sometimes they're like, why? And it's like, well, you go through it and carry on, get to the end, and you'll find out.
Yeah,
why.
You'll see.
I
know. So they kind of learnt quite quickly. The "you'll see" is just part of my vocabulary, and they're like, okay, we'll just trust you now.
I guess it's good to try and get to a place where you can, and it takes time, I think, to articulate your vision, articulate that reasoning.
Yeah, it really did. I think that was one of the hardest things that I learned, was articulating what I mean by the vision I have, because I can't draw. I can't do all of this. So I was like, no, you'd have to just trust me. And the way that I articulated what I wanted got better and better. And with my job now, it's a constant thing. For every single time I plan a program and a show, that's what I have to do, is articulate what I mean by something. Yeah. And I am getting better at it. I think it is just a practice thing, and also collaborating with people, they get to know you as well, so
the genuine trust starts to come through. So the genuine, I've done this before, it got to a point where like, I trust you, so
I mean, we'll go with it, and then they'll see again and they'll be like, oh, okay, I get that. So it's definitely.
How does it feel when the vision is complete?
Amazing. It was just, when I first saw the whole video all together for my masters, it was just every single thing that I had thought of in my head was exactly how it looked on the screen. And it was the first time I'd created something from start to finish where that was the case. And there wasn't it didn't feel like a miss in any of it, because I knew what would work for me, and I knew what I wanted. And it was just so nice to see it all in one video.
So we're still quite fresh out of the education, aren't we?
Yeah, not too far away.
No,
yeah.
it was only, what we saying, like 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 or 3 years ago. So as you came out of education, what was the first thing that it was like, I'm going to do this next? Was there a path?
There's always sort of like a internal path, but I thought, because I moved to St Albans in 2021, I think, or 2020, I can't remember. And I lived with my sister. She, because the plan was I was going to move here anyway, close to London, get my agent, go straight to the West End.
Well, that's where the opportunities are, aren't they?
Absolutely, but it was just like, that was what I wanted.
And where from? Did you say you was from
Leeds?
Leeds.
Yeah, so from Leeds. Okay. So I left Leeds, moved here.
Yeah.
And then it was lockdown again, and in and out of lockdown, and I was like, everything was just being pushed
kept getting
back.
stopped.
Yeah. And I was like, everyone's gonna really, really be jumping on every single thing as soon as everything's back open, because there's going to be another year of graduates. So it's not just my year; it was another year behind that as definitely. Well. So I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know how this is going to pan out. And to do auditions, it's auditioning is like a full-time job. Like you can't just, I mean, unless you're in a nice position where you have savings and everything, you have to work as well.
Because they can turn up at any moment, can't they?
Yeah, exactly. So I never got the chance to do that, especially agent auditions. It's so last minute.
Yeah.
And I went for one agent audition, and it was so funny. The singing was fine. I enjoyed that, and it didn't work out because they had too many people who looked like me. Right. Okay. Which is a very common case because soprano, blonde, they're everywhere.
I've had the same problem with acting over the years, and even actually, it doesn't escape me. It doesn't seem to. Just that dark-haired white male look. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there that want to be actors.
Yeah, and they sound like me, and they look like me, and they talk like me, and they were like, we have to put all of our energy into the people we've already got. So I was like, but it was a funny audition, because last minute they're like, do you want to do the dance call? And I was like, yeah, why not? Yeah, I'm not a dancer. I've done a little bit, but I've always
the performers in there to do it,
the performers in there,
the confidence is there as well.
Yeah, I could just take a bit of time to do it, but I can do it. But it was like, if you've ever seen Friends, when Joey auditioned for the
It's funny, because I was just thinking of Friends when Joey's in the room with all the other Joeys. But you're
that was it was exactly like that. It was just the quickest dance routine. It was ball chains and kicks and on the floor and spins and leg up in the air, and
you did it all in 10 seconds.
And then was like, okay, you first. And I was like, I didn't know what I was doing, and then I was like, jazz hands. And it was just the worst dancing I've ever seen, and it was just such a big room of people, and they're all in there like fancy get up, and they know what they're doing, and they were like, yeah, got it, and they just did it, and you were like, oh my God, get me out of here.
Yeah, but you did it though, didn't you?
I did it. It was an experience. And then I was like, I'm gonna go and do the singing audition now, which was a lot more my style, and they even sent the feedback that they loved the song choices I did, and they really enjoyed.
So that's really nice to get feedback. Yeah, it was very rare to get feedback. Yeah.
So it was really nice on that side of things. And because I just laughed my way through the dance thing, I think they were just like, they knew I wasn't a dancer anyway, so they just were very, very nice.
Kind of shrugged it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
But
it's probably not the first time they've seen that.
No.
And it won't be the last.
Yeah, exactly. Not everyone's a dancer, so it was fine. It was really, really calm. But I just didn't know what I was going to do because everything was closed. But then I was just in my room one day, and I saw on Facebook a casting for Ciblou, France, which was a holiday park. It's got like 20 of them around the country, and for lead vocalist. So they have like one vocalist from England, one choreographer from England, and then they go to those holiday parks and create the shows and perform in the evening shows, and also work in the kids club. And I just applied because I was like, why not? Summer in France.
Can you speak French?
Petit peu. Bit more now, but at the time I just had GCSE French under my belt. Okay. But on the same day, within an hour, I got an email back asking me to do a group interview on Zoom. And then that was later on that day. And then in the Zoom interview, like, they did the one-to-ones with everyone, and we had a few questions, and she was like, yeah, you sound great. do you think you can move there in 4 days? And I was like, okay. I was like,
I got my suitcase packed already.
I was like, yeah, sure. Like, luckily I live with my sister, so I didn't have like renting or anything to worry about because I was just temporarily living there, and it worked out perfectly. I did pack up everything, but there was something in my mind that was like, what if this is a scam and I'm going to France? I'm going to die.
And that's a real possibility in this industry.
I know, it was scary. But
you took a risk.
I did it, yeah, luckily.
Did they pay for like the flights and things? Okay, so that gives
flights, everything was paid for. The year after I went back for 6 months, and the visa then was taken care of as well. So everything's paid for.
Oh, so that's some kind of security in that. It's not like buy your ticket and we'll sort you out once you get there.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a bit more relaxing. And then I got there, and then they were all like there in their uniforms, and they were picking us up. Like it was legit.
Yeah.
And we went there, and it was the craziest job I've ever done in my life. I've done so many different kinds of jobs, every single kind of job. It's just, but this one was so intense. You'd wake up so early and you'd go to the kids club from 9:30 until midday, and then they'd all be French. There was like very rare that they'd be English, so you just had to. So you was
trying to pick it all up really quickly.
Yeah, but then pick it up, but then also they speak like children. So
children French.
Children
as well.
French.
Yeah, which isn't what you were taught.
They're not even saying it right.
No.
And we had that, and then we'd rehearse for the evening shows at midday, so at the hottest point of the day. Then we'd have another 2 hours of kids club. Then we'd perform by the swimming pool and get everyone dancing in the pool. Then there'd be an hour-long kids show at 8:00, and then there would be an hour-long evening entertainment show. So like Disney, musical theatre, like cabaret type things. Then you'd have to interact and dance with the guests until 11:30.
All day long. And so did you think this is where your training would be put best to use at that time?
Yeah, it was definitely, because the singing side of it, I got to sing all sorts. It was singing every night. It was lovely. And I learnt a lot about vocal health as well, because they all go out afterwards. They're just, because they're all 18 that work there. So I was already a bit older and I can't really handle the hangovers. And my voice is terrible in a hangover as well. So if I'm hungover, the next day I'll be like, nothing's coming out. And then it was really a case of like, I know how to look after my voice so much. If it's feeling tired, I know what to do. I know when to push it. I know when to not. And it was really
And what
useful.
kind of boundaries would you put on yourself then? Is it just simply not going out? If you want to be the performer, where do you draw the line?
So I ended up not going out, and if I was singing the next day, always. And it was because you get a lot of FOMO if you don't go out. It's very sad.
It's really
I'm in France in the summer and on holiday.
And it sounds like a fun job around fun people.
Yeah. But I figured out quite quickly that more so when I do go out, I sing really loud, really loud. And it's because it's so loud in there as well. You shout over people.
Yes.
Like you're really using your voice, and that, along with the dehydration of like drinking, that absolutely deteriorates everything the next day for your voice. And you don't even realize it if you're not even drinking that much, but you are shouting for people to hear you because it's such a loud bar. You just, without even realizing it, you're already tiring out your voice. Yeah. So I learned a lot about that because
did you learn it yourself, or did someone say to you, look, Charlotte, you got to sort your voice out?
You did
it. You could look.
I could get away with it every time,
right?
Because you can push it when you're feeling tired. It's not good, but you can just push through, and then you'd be like, oh, it actually hurts. Like I shouldn't be singing. So it was just more of I really enjoy singing, so why don't I just endure the FOMO and just look after my voice so I can enjoy the singing instead of just being like, oh God, no, I've got to sing again. Like,
I've been trying to talk to my daughter. My daughter's 15, she's a singer, musician, and I've been trying to talk to her about this recently, that you do have to make some sacrifices.
You do.
As a performer.
You really
and you do have to make some choices about what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And she's getting into that stage of wanting to have fun with her friends.
I know.
But or when there's a gig the next night that she's going to be performing in, and it's like, well, you've got to start concentrating and thinking about what is it that's the most important thing to me. If
I'm singing the next day, even if it's really in the evening, it's not going to happen if you go out. Even if alcohol's not even involved in going out, if it's somewhere that's going to be loud or louder, where you have to raise your voice, it's just not worth it. You don't have to go on like vocal silence or anything like that. I know
you can
people do.
still have fun. You can still have a life, but it's being
cautious
and considerate for maybe like that your future self, like the next day. Who you're going to be. Like, do you want to have regret about the previous night, or
your tomorrow self deserves better than your today self?
So, what advice would you give to someone like my daughter that's got severe FOMO, that wants to be a performer?
I'd probably say what I told myself was your enjoyment when you sing is more than a night out. When the feeling you get when you're singing is just, there's nothing that can beat it. You just and when you've warmed up and you're like, this feels and sounds so good and so healthy, and you're just so excited to sing, rather than my voice is so tired, and you're stressing that you're not going to hit the notes because you'll feel dehydrated or you've stayed up too late, so you're tired, and it's just, it makes you nervous when you're not 100%. And that feeling, it's I've learnt over the time, having that warm up and having that rest and looking after your voice to do the singing, it's one night. You can still have fun, you can still socialise, but you just have to know, you learn your boundaries. And that feeling of singing is so much better. But obviously, because she's so young, she hasn't maybe experienced that yet. So I'd also be like, go for it. Go out.
You've got to have the fun as well.
Yeah, have fun. And then you'll see. Like, you will sing and be like, oh my God, that was so much harder than it usually is. Why was it so hard? Oh, because of this. Like, you learn your own boundaries. And if you tell people not to do something.
Oh yeah, we're talking about my daughter now. Yeah. And you can't tell her not to do something.
Exactly. But
so
she'll tell herself.
You do have to discover. But there's also, by giving this advice, there is a moment for consideration from someone that's been there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's because I had people say the same thing to me, exactly the same, and I took it on board. And I mean, I was only like 19. I was only 19 at uni, freshers, all of this going on. I was like, I was like, sure. And my teacher was like, you can drink and have fun, but just not the day before singing, because you're just going to find that it's a lot harder. And because it's all in your stomach muscles as well. You go on a night out, you're talking, and without knowing it, you're using a lot more of your diaphragm and the muscles here, then you're wearing them out. And the next day, you can't hold the notes as long because everything is so tired. And you learn, it is experience learning. I had people tell me the same thing, and I'd take it for important things. I'd take it on board and be like, because I was so excited to sing and I wanted to be my best self. But then sometimes, when you're young, you just slip up and you're like, okay, I'll go out.
Well, you're only young once.
Exactly.
As well, there's that.
And they were fun nights. But then the next day, you're just disappointed in yourself for not being able to sing how well you can. And you just sort of, your priorities change a lot, especially when you get a bit older as well. They just naturally change anyway, and you don't really like hangovers regardless if you're singing or not.
No, they get so much worse the older you get. Wait till you get 3 to
5 business days for me to recover.
A week for me. I can't remember the last time I drunk because I hate hangovers so much now. It's just I am to the point of like, it's just not worth it.
I know
it's just not worth the pain of that week.
Especially when I'm singing. It's the worst. And I just really enjoy singing, and I really enjoy healthily singing. So she'll learn that sort of feeling of how amazing it is to sing when you're at your best, and nothing can beat it. Not a single night out could beat that.
No. So what happened next after the holiday camp? So we did the holiday camp in France.
So I did 3 months. So
3 months.
Yes, just 3.
Okay,
because I started June because I think they had a singer and then they quit or something, so it was a last minute casting, which is why it was so fast, which makes sense now. But I didn't know that at the time. But I joined, and we just created the shows, had the high season, exhausted, came back,
needed to rest your voice.
Like I don't think I spoke for about a week. And it was surreal. It was amazing. We lived by the beach. It was just something I'd never done before. And I knew I wanted to come back again the year afterwards to the same place. And I did 6 months as a receptionist at a care home, which was lovely. Ended up singing for them a few times while I worked there, and helped them out with like music therapy as well, which was really great. Went back to France for 6 months. I only stayed in the entertainment job for a couple of months because it was run by a whole different team, and it wasn't the people, like the management there weren't great. So I decided to remove myself from that situation, which was absolutely fine, and ended up traveling and working just normal jobs and doing a bit of open mic stuff and performing at hotels across France. And then I came back in September and then started at Willows.
And I've seen the bit that I wanted to get to in there. I think you've skipped out the bit where you've been Elsa and your princess parties, and that's another great opportunity for you to perform.
Yeah.
How does what do you take from that, from doing, because a lot of performers, actors, singers, that is a job that we can go to. It's a job that I've gone to as an actor. Spider-Man, Iron Man, Batman at birthday parties. Like, I've done tons of that. Like Father Christmas.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's always something.
Yeah, there's always them.
Yeah,
roles
I did a lot of that.
there.
Within the 6 months I got into it, I did quite a few different performing things just to keep me singing.
Yes.
Because
and that's important, doing the work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doing your craft.
Yeah.
Whatever way you can.
Yeah. So I did a lot of brunches, so boozy brunches, where there was ABBA performers or Disney performers, or Spice Girls.
Boozy brunch, I don't think I've heard of these.
Yeah, so they're like bottomless brunches, and you can drink as much as you can for a few hours.
Okay,
it's carnage.
Sounds dangerous.
It's like it starts at like 11 in the morning.
And you'll be there as a performer.
Yeah.
Right.
So I watch all of this chaos unfold while singing a bit of ABBA. And I did a lot of that. And they were mostly in London, which was great because the commute was so easy for me to do. Also did Disney ones where it would be the same concept but with Disney characters, so that was great, and that kind of got me into the Disney princess stuff because I performed as sort of Ariel, Elsa in sort of the adult brunches for singing, and then I just loved that sort of idea of maybe applying for a princess company to do this for like kids parties, and it would be a different kind of carnage. And
you've had some experience with the young kids with the
entertainment work. I worked with
makes sense.
4 to 7 year olds there. That was my group. So I was very confident in working with kids and entertaining children, and running sort of like not kids club. Well, the parties aren't really kids club, but essentially it was the same thing because you'd have to run and plan all the things and all the timings. And I was very confident with doing that. Just had to be a Disney character and a princess, so which is great. I loved dressing up when I was a kid. It was amazing.
And you know what? I felt the same when I first started doing Spider-Man jobs at parties. Like, all right, I was in my 30s doing it. Yeah. But I was still like, actually, this is me.
Yeah.
This is what I did as a kid. I was Spider-Man. I loved that. Yeah. Why can't I not love that now?
Yeah, exactly.
And like the kids believe it more as well, don't they? When you love it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've never.
But my knees got too sore. My back got too sore to be Spider-Man anymore.
Oh, with all the tumbles.
I was like, one day I was like, no, I'm done. Yeah. I cannot take this pain.
Luckily,
anymore.
none of the princesses do that, so it's very chill. But I love doing that. So I've done various roles, mostly Elsa, just because the blue eyes and the pale skin worked pretty well. Yeah. And then also I would tend to be more blonde characters, purely for blonde features, and because I'm naturally blonde, my eyebrows are really light and my eyes are blue. So then.
So the casting wise,
yes, they really, really were careful with it, and it's a very respected company in Hertfordshire as well.
And I think with those things, it's surprising actually if the kids don't believe, they'll be very upset. And the parents,
especially the older they get, when there's a 7 or an 8 year old that's having a party, you really have to commit.
Yes, yeah.
And you have to have answers for everything.
And they've got a lot of questions.
They do.
They
really do. They ask you all the characters' names, and I think at one point a child asked me and another girl playing Anna, it was sort of like a meet and greet situation. They're like, what's your parents' names? And I was like, I don't even remember.
They test you, don't they?
And I was like, they didn't even say that in the film.
But it's in the book.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you've got to always be ready. And it was,
I found it great for learning improvisation, actually.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Because you have to think on the spot. They're going to come up to you questions. They're going to ask you what you had for breakfast. Yeah. Where you're going home.
In character all the time. It was so good for that. It was really, really a unique experience. And at the start, I remember not being very confident, and I'd sort of be the second princess, so there would be another one, and then
it's daunting, isn't it, going in front of all them?
and then they're really confident, and you're just sort of there like, okay, I watched the film last night, but that's about it. What else does Sleeping Beauty have? I have no idea. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and you just, it's just so wholesome. It's actually one of the most wholesome jobs you can do, is be a children's entertainer, because they genuinely wholeheartedly believe that you are Elsa, and Elsa has come just for them to see them, and it's just their faces. It's just so magical. It is really nice.
That's what I find with the Father Christmas work.
Yes,
I love
very similar.
I love the Father Christmas work. I hope no kids are listening. When I talk about Father Christmas work, kids, if you are listening, I talk about, working for him.
Exactly.
I work for him.
He can't be everywhere at once.
No, he can't be everywhere at once.
So many helpers.
So I work for him.
You were chosen to be one of his helpers.
But when I'm working for him and I see those children, when I'm sitting in a chair and those kids come in and you see them and you see the belief in their eyes and you see the happiness that you can bring to them for just that one tiny moment.
It's amazing, and they've built up that moment for so long as well, and it's just...
And it can be a core memory for them as well, can't it?
They'll remember that forever.
Because you've got probably memories similar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I have. And
I remember Disney when I was 4, like when we went to Disney, and I'd met the princesses. I dress up, that was every day, because I dressed up as Disney princesses just to go to Tesco, and my mum used to tell me that we were leaving 10 minutes before we'd actually have to leave, because she knew I'd have to pick a dress. So I've always loved that sort of side of it, and to do that for children is just so nice. Even with my job now with Peter Rabbit, they love Peter Rabbit. It's so amazing, and they watch him on TV, and now he's here and you can see him, and his friends are all
so
here.
Willows, they have like a partnership with Peter Rabbit, don't they?
So we've got all the licensing to Peter Rabbit on CBBC, and we can create shows in guideline with that TV show, right? And we've got quite a lot of the characters from them, and it's just it's wonderful. What a lovely wholesome program to have.
Have you watched them all?
Yeah.
Of course you have.
I have to.
Of course you have. I can't say that I have. I remember the books when I was younger.
Yeah, I was. My mum told me that the films or the TV show, the older TV show, was the only thing I'd sleep to.
Right.
And I had original artwork all around my room of Peter Rabbit, toys of Peter. I was obsessed with Peter Rabbit when I was like 2 or 3. Yeah. And it was the only thing that could calm me down. And I never really
They were
knew
very
that.
calming stories, weren't they?
Really, really calm.
I can remember the book. I can remember I had this collection of books. Is Puddle Duck?
Yes, Jemima
Puddle Duck. That's right, yeah.
Yep.
I can remember that was on the front cover of one, and Peter Rabbit was on the front cover of another, and a toad. Was there a toad?
There is a toad,
and a fox.
Yeah, Mr. Todd the Fox.
And they were just sweet stories, weren't they?
Yes, they were. Really,
there was no
really nice.
No like conflict. They were just heartwarming, weren't they?
Yeah, really nice. And it was just, when my mum told me that, she told me that not too long ago, that I could only sleep to Peter Rabbit. And I was like, wow. She was like, that's why I was so excited when you got this job, because it was like meant to be, because I grew up my really young stages of life absolutely obsessed with Peter Rabbit.
And it's strange as well. I haven't thought about that. You're just like unlocking memories for now.
I know.
About even when I was at Willows, I didn't clock actually about me having these Peter Rabbit books when I was younger, and really enjoying them at a young age. And so there's a new generation out of kids there now that are enjoying it through. Now there's a TV program.
Yeah. So there's
an entertainment farm that they can go to and
they can meet Peter Rabbit. I know, and they're so overwhelmed. They come in their costumes with Peter Rabbit.
Lovely.
And they bring all their teddies, and they're just so excited to see him. And it's just the most wonderful thing to be able to have that. It makes my job feel so meaningful. I've done so many jobs where you're serving tables in a restaurant, making coffee for people, pouring drinks behind a bar, and you're just like, okay, like that was nice for them for the moment, but not any more than that. I feel like I've always been destined to do meaningful things, like and have meaning in my job, which is why I love singing and performing, because that's creating memories for people, good memories, and I love doing that. And with this job, it's exactly the same. For children, creating cool memories for them that they'll never forget. And it's just, it's really, really nice. You go home at the end of the day, sometimes stressed because it was a lot to prepare for Christmas.
Yes, yeah.
But then most of the time when you get to see it, you go home and you're like, oh, that was really nice.
I did my thing.
Yeah, what a nice day. And you have people that, so my best friend Em's an accountant.
Right.
And she'll come home and be like, oh, it's so stressful to work with the taxes, and I don't know what accountants do. It's very, very confusing. But numbers,
calculators and numbers,
very serious job.
Yeah.
Board meetings, all of this.
And I guess and that job has to be done.
Exactly.
There's a place for that and people for that.
And I'll go home and I'll talk about what I do at work, and she's just like, wow, it's just so wholesome. And I'm just, because my stresses will be, oh no, like the elf costume doesn't fit. She'll be like, oh, right. But I'm very lucky to have the job that I have. I really love it. And it's very wholesome to have such a nice, meaningful job that's,
What does that look like when you're planning a show? What do you do for that? Are you writing?
Yeah. So first of all, I sort of plan a theme for a show. So it could be something to do with the holiday, so like Easter, we have like an Easter show, or if it's springtime, I'll keep the themes spring-like, spring cleaning, spring flowers, spring sunshine, things like that. And I'll look through all of our songs, because we also write and produce songs with our own licensing, so they're all for like Peter Rabbit, and the entertainment manager before me created this massive like repertoire of songs. It's amazing, so I can really just go through and be like, that's the theme I want, that's the theme I want.
Nice.
And I start with picking the songs, and then I'll write a script, so actions for Peter Rabbit or whichever character we're using, and what Mike will say. So it's either usually myself or Molly who will be on mic, and we have rehearsals for these scripts, so I write in all the music and we learn the dances. So
a full production.
Yes, it's like a 10-minute full production show.
Yeah.
3 songs in every show.
So it's almost like that show that you didn't get to do when you finished, when you was in your, I'm going to forget how you pronounce it now, the repertoire.
The repertoire, yeah.
Yeah, when you was there. The show you didn't get, you're kind of doing that now, aren't you? You're creating these shows at Willows now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I get to think of new things and new ideas, and also collaborate with the people that I have. That some people have been there for a while and have remembered some really cool ideas from different shows, or some people that are new and can bring in completely different ideas. And that, because I know Molly's done quite a lot of working with children in theatre as well, so she's just got so many fresh ideas as well. So I'm never stuck for that long, because there's always people I can turn to, which is really great.
It's good to have a great team like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's really solid. And it's just sort of, it takes a while, but then it all sort of comes together, because there'll maybe be 6 different shows for each event. So it's a case of different ideas that haven't been done before, planning what the program is before and after that event, and also what props you'll need if you're going to change the stage, like preparing all the music and the sound system and everything. So there's a lot to think about. But then I started mid-December in 2022, and it was chaos over Christmas. I was just like, put me anywhere. If you need me to help with lunches, I'll do that instead. I have no idea what's going on. But then it was nice to do from January all the way to December, every single event, learn from it and everything.
Every event gets a bit better.
Yeah, exactly. But then as soon as Christmas hit, I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much to think about. There was like 35 external performers in total, costumes for all of them as performers, times multiple of costumes, because different people would be in the different shows, props for all of them, staging. There was 3 different stages with 3 different types, 5 different types of shows on, plus walk around acts. It was just so much to think about, and so much that we had to figure out. But it was great results in the end though. So it's definitely something I'm looking forward to being a bit more prepared for this time.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask next. So what does that look like for you next year? Are you going into this craziness next year, or have you learned something?
Yeah,
from all
so
of that?
I've learned to definitely start earlier. It's never too early to
start for Christmas.
Yes. Yeah. I was thinking July, August was too early. No, that's late. So starting really early. And also I'm planning at the moment the whole year of all the other events. So I've done Easter. I'm writing scripts for Easter. Then I'll be writing scripts for May half term and summer. Get that out of the way, that I can just start on writing and preparing for Christmas, because it's so many different shows happening all at once. It's not a case of, oh, there's one show on and a meet and greet, and then a show, then a meet and greet. It is like, okay, well, there's 2 shows going on at once, then they'll swap, and there'll be 2 different shows, and then there'll also be this show in there that they can watch and this, and so you have to just, I think more time to prepare.
And it sounds like you've got a grip of it. It sounds like you know what
what stressed me out, so I knew
what needs to be changed and needs to be you know where you need to adapt.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does the future hold for you then? What does that look like?
Oh, I don't know. I really like this job that I'm in.
Because that's a hard thing as a performer, isn't it? You're clearly so happy where you are. But there is a performer there that wants to perform. And as performers, we seek opportunities. How do you do that if you've got such a great job?
I know it's hard. Everything was sort of put on hold. I'd still do like a couple of singing things. So the care home I did receptionist for, they've asked me to run a choir for them every other Monday.
Lovely.
So I do that still, and that's really wholesome, really lovely. And
what is it that's so wholesome about that?
Because with older people that are in the care home, in the group, quite a few of them have dementia, but they'll hear a song that they loved and they'll know every single word and they'll sing it all, and you're just like blown away by how the brain works. It's just so clever, and it's just so, I'll never understand it, but we'll sing stuff from The Sound of Music and they won't even need the lyrics, and they'll know exactly where it's going, and they'll know the tempo, and they'll be like, I love this song, and you'll do another one, but they won't remember your name, but they will remember every single song from The Sound of Music and Elvis Presley and What a Wonderful World We've Done. And
what do you think that means to them?
I think I'm not too sure I think it just feels really good for them. Like, they enjoy that so much. It's like almost like a lucid moment where they really come back to life. It really does feel like that, and they just get taken back. 'Cause a lot of time with dementia, you work your way back to your childhood memory wise, and you believe that you're in a different age and a different place, and they might be in the 60s still when this music came out, and they know it really well. So for them to just sing it, it's like validating them. Like, it's not making them more confused that they're in 2024. So it's just letting them enjoy the things that they enjoy, and it's really, really nice.
That's nice.
So I do really enjoy doing that. So I do that. There is definitely a side of me that would love to be in a musical just once. Definitely. But
what about looking for any local theatre companies? Have you done anything like that?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think there is one in St Albans that I'd love to try out, or even if there's one like nearby, just like a side thing, and you know, an amateur theatre. Even that, I think, would itch the scratch of wanting to perform. Yeah,
and I've always found you never know where those kind of things can lead.
Yeah,
as well.
Exactly. And I think something like that would definitely be on the cards.
Yeah, I think that would suit you.
Yeah,
especially at this moment, whilst you have got this job that's so great.
Yeah, because I love
it's you. That's you know, but
it's the best of both worlds. Because I love doing this, and I love writing shows for children, but I also love performing
as well.
Yeah, and singing sort of more difficult things as well, and things from musical theatres, performances that I love, and learning new music.
Yeah.
So I think that would be such a good best of both worlds
balance for you.
Yeah.
This has been wonderful.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for sharing your journey. One last question for you.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about that little 4-year-old girl that enjoyed dress up. If you could speak to her now and say something to her about the type of life that you've got now performing, what would you say? What would you say that it's like?
Ooh. First of all, I'd be like, that's not the last time you're going to see the Sleeping Beauty dress. But second, I'd probably say never question why you love it. Never let anyone question why you're doing it. you have such a purpose, and for you to have found that at 4 years old is so lucky, because people sometimes don't know what they want to do for their whole life. So to know exactly what I wanted to do from so young without even knowing that I knew it is, it's amazing. So just to keep going and everything's going to be okay.
Beautiful. That's a lovely place to end it on. Thank you so much for joining me on the BTS Creative Academy podcast.
Very exciting.
And thank you for listening or watching as well.
Thank you so much for listening to my life story.
Appreciate you, audience. If you want to find out more about the BTS Creative Academy, do you know what to search? BTS Creative Academy. It's really, really easy. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can hear future conversations.
Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Join us.
Join us. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.